After investing like Warren Buffett for 9 months, I generated some interesting results. But before jumping into that and revealing the profits or losses, we have to understand what it's actually like to copy Warren Buffett's investing style. So, to invest like Warren Buffett, I followed his 5 key principles. The first principle is to invest in what you understand. And I personally understand tech companies and also the power of AI. So, that's what I mainly started to focus on. Up next, the second principle is to look for modes that are hard to break, which is crucial for long term sustainability. Now, the third principle is something that I found usually connects with a good company, focusing on quality management that has been in the business for a long time and has a lot of their own money invested into the company. Fourth, we need to buy at a fair price. We don't want to overpay for any company. We always want to get a good deal with a margin of safety. Lastly, we want to focus on the long term and not invest based on short term news. Now, before revealing the results, we have to take a good look at the 4 stocks I invested in. What's very interesting is that many people say Warren Buffett's strategy is outdated and that the old man can't invest in the current markets because everything is overvalued according to him and things have changed since his time. But is that really true? Well, let's look at the stocks I invested in. The first stock I invested in is one that I believe is still undervalued to this day, and that's Google. Now, does Google follow these 5 principles? Well, if we look at the first principle, it's something that involves tech and AI, so that's the first principle checked off. Then, does the company have a moat? Yes, the company absolutely has a moat, as it dominates many of the industries it operates in. For example, it holds around 90% of search engine markets. It's also starting to dominate in the AI race with Gemini 2.5 Pro, and it's doing really well in the Google Cloud space as well. So overall, I would say Google definitely has a moat. The third principle, I believe, is checked off pretty easily. CEO Sundar Pichai has been with the company for 21 years and has been CEO for 10 of those. He holds a stake worth roughly $450 million, which is around 50% of his total net worth. Even better, management owns about 3.1% of the company, which is great as we usually want over 2% ownership. So management definitely has skin in the game. The fourth principle is to invest when the price is right. I believe Google is still fairly valued to this day with a PE ratio of roughly 20 and a price to free cash flow ratio of 28. That's fair considering what you get, a high mode business operating in high growth sectors with a lot of future potential. Lastly, the fifth principle is also checked off pretty easily as I think Google is truly built for the long run. It's not going anywhere. The second stock I invested in was ASML. ASML is the company that makes the machines used to develop chips, and not just any chips, but computer chips. So, does this company check off the first principle? Yes, it's within an industry I understand. Second, does the company have a moat? And that's also a big yes. ASML has probably one of the biggest moats of any stock available. The machines they manufacture are extremely expensive, with the best ones ranging from 200 to $400 million. On top of that, they are the only company currently so far ahead in the development of these machines that no competitors can keep up. So ASML truly has a unique moat. Third, does the company have quality management? Well, the CEO has been within the company since 2008, which is great. However, the management doesn't own a large portion of the company, only about 0.2%, but I still think they are doing a great job, so I would still say this box is checked off. Fourth, we need to buy at a fair price. Right now, the company has a PE ratio of 30 and a price to free cash flow ratio of 28, which is pretty good considering the mode you get and the fact that it's still in a growing industry. So I also believe ASML is still trading at a fair valuation to this day. Lastly, this company is very likely to stick around for the long run. They're years ahead of their competitors, so even if they make no further progress, they still have a lot of time, but they will make progress. The next stock is Uber, and Uber is truly a unique company because it only recently started turning a profit. But does it check off all 5 principles? Well, it definitely checks off the first principle as Uber is a tech company. Then, does the company have a moat? I'd say it does because it has built a strong brand recognition. When people think of ride hailing, they usually think of Uber, but it's not the biggest moat compared to other 2 companies we've discussed, since there are many competitors doing the same thing. So it's not that unique. I'd say these principles have checked off. Another crucial part when operating this kind of business is having quality management. The current CEO of Uber has really turned things around. He took the company from losing billions to making billions. On top of that, he also owns a large portion of his overall net worth in Uber, which is a huge bonus. But is Uber trading at a fair price? Well, I first started buying Uber at $74.50 per share, and my fair value for the stock was around $100 per share. Right now, it's getting close to that, around 96 per share, so it definitely checks off the fourth step. Lastly, I do think Uber is here to stay for the long term. They're focused on major growth areas like autonomous vehicles, and they're also innovating and expanding their core ground business further, remaining the leader in the industry. The last company I invested in was Amazon. This company already checks off the first principle by being a well organized player in the tech space. Then, does the company have a moat? Well, Amazon's moat comes from its sheer size. It operates in so many sectors and dominates most of them that it's extremely hard to compete with Amazon across all these different areas. When it comes to whether or not Amazon has quality management, I do believe it does. The current CEO has been with the company for 30 years and worked closely with Jeff Bezos. Management owns about 10.8% of the company, with Bezos being the main shareholder, which is great. So, quality management is definitely checked off. Now, what is the fair value for Amazon? To find the true value based on cash flow, we want to look at operating cash flow, since looking at price to free cash flow would be skewed because the company is always investing heavily. The current price to operating cash flow is 20, but I bought it at around 17, which I believe is a very good price considering you're getting a fast growing company operating in high growth sectors that are here for the long term. That also checks off the fifth principle. It's finally time for the grand reveal. How much did I actually make over the 9 months? Starting off with the first investment, which was Google, it's been a bit of a bumpy ride, but over the past 9 months, Google has generated a total return of 10%. Next is ASML, which I invested in a little later. It has generated 20%, with the past month being the biggest contributor to those gains. Then we have Uber, and Uber has been my biggest winner with around 30% in profit. That to me is amazing. Lastly, Amazon has also been rising like crazy over the past few months, and it has brought me a total return of 19%. So overall, I gained an average return of 19.75%, so roughly 20%, which is pretty good. Of course, this is based on the short term, but I definitely say it's impressive. I'm very excited to see how these investments perform over the next 5 to 10 years. Now, if you want to generate returns like this, you need good and trusted data, and you can get that by using the EOD API key. It's an API that has everything you need when it comes to finance. Definitely check them out. Link is in the description. So that's what investing like Warren Buffett got me. But if you want to know how I found these stocks, watch this video right here.